Hello dear friend, my name is Eleanor, and if you have a moment, I'd like to sit down and share with you something very personal, my experience living with, and naturally managing, osteoporosis. I'm 78 years old now, but this story starts when I was 62, the year my world shifted. It was a chilly November morning when I went for my annual physical. I had been feeling a bit stiff lately, and my daughter insisted I ask about it. One thing led to another, and soon I found myself getting a bone density scan, something I had barely heard of at that point. A week later, my doctor called me in. He looked serious. "Eleanor," he said, "you have osteoporosis." I remember blinking at him, confused. I'd always thought of myself as fairly healthy. Sure, I had a sweet tooth and maybe didn't move as much as I used to, but osteoporosis? That was something other people dealt with. He explained that my bones had become thin and fragile, and if I didn't take action, I was at high risk for fractures, particularly in my hips, spine, and wrists. He handed me a prescription for a bisphosphonate medication and gave me a pamphlet about fall prevention. I went home and cried. I spent the next few days in a daze, reading everything I could find about osteoporosis. The statistics were terrifying. Women with hip fractures had a 20% chance of dying within a year, and many more lost their independence permanently. That wasn't the future I wanted. I wanted to dance at my grandchildren's weddings. I wanted to travel. I wanted to live, fully and vibrantly, for as long as I could. But when I looked into the medication my doctor prescribed, I felt uneasy. Possible side effects included jaw necrosis, which is a rotting of the jawbone, gastrointestinal problems, and even, ironically, an increased risk of certain rare fractures. I knew medication could be helpful for many people. I wasn't anti-medicine. But something in my heart told me, "Eleanor, try everything else first." I called my doctor and asked, "Would you be willing to give me 6 months? Let me try to tackle this naturally before I commit to medication." He was hesitant but agreed, under the condition that I come back for follow-up scans and blood work. And so, my journey began. The first place I looked was my diet. I realized I had slipped into what I call the tea and toast lifestyle: simple meals, lots of white bread, little fresh produce, and way too much sugar. Boosted my calcium. I increased my intake of calcium-rich foods. Instead of relying heavily on dairy, which my stomach didn't always agree with, I added leafy greens like kale, collard greens, and bok choy. I also ate almonds, chia seeds, and canned salmon with the bones. Prioritized vitamin D. Living in a northern climate, I wasn't getting enough sunlight, especially in winter. I started spending more time outdoors when I could and supplemented with a low-dose vitamin D3 supplement, based on my doctor's advice. Added magnesium and vitamin K2, these were new to me. I learned that magnesium helps with calcium absorption, and vitamin K2 directs calcium to the bones, not the arteries. So I ate more nuts, seeds, whole grains, and fermented foods like sauerkraut and natto, though, truth be told, natto wasn't my favorite. Focused on protein, I made sure to get enough protein, because bones aren't just made of minerals, they have a collagen matrix that needs amino acids. I added more eggs, beans, lentils, and some lean meats to my meals. Cut the junk. I dramatically reduced my processed food intake, cut back on added sugar, and limited sodas and caffeine, which can leach calcium from bones. Instead of counting calories, I started counting nutrients. Food became my medicine. I wasn't perfect, but I made sure every plate had a variety of bone-building foods. I had always thought that walking the dog counted as enough exercise. But after my diagnosis, I realized I needed more, specifically weight-bearing and resistance training. Here's what I added. Strength training. I joined a small fitness class for seniors at the local community center. Twice a week, we used resistance bands, light dumbbells, and our own body weight. Squats, lunges, and push-ups, against the wall at first, became part of my routine. Balance exercises. Preventing falls is just as important as building bone. I practiced standing on one foot while brushing my teeth, and I did simple Tai Chi moves to improve my balance. Power walking. I started walking briskly every morning, sometimes with a light-weighted vest to add a bit more challenge without straining my joints. At first, it was humbling. I couldn't do a single proper push-up. My legs trembled after a few squats. But week by week, I grew stronger. I was rebuilding my body from the inside out. There was another dimension to healing osteoporosis that no doctor had mentioned: emotions. You see, stress releases cortisol, and high cortisol over time weakens bones. I knew I had to tackle my stress and anxiety, especially my fear about my future, so I created new habits. I sat quietly for 10 minutes each morning, simply breathing and feeling gratitude for my body and my life. I imagined my bones growing stronger and denser with every healthy meal, every step, every weight lifted. Instead of calling myself old or fragile, I started saying, I am rebuilding. I am resilient. Some things had to go. I cut back my coffee from 4 cups a day to 1. I drank alcohol only on special occasions. I made sleep a priority, going to bed early and making sure I got 7 to 8 hours every night. I avoided sitting for long periods, even standing up and stretching every hour made a difference. Every little choice added up. When I returned to my doctor for my 6-month follow-up, I was nervous. I had blood work done, checked my vitamin D levels, and did another bone density scan. The results were encouraging. My bone density hadn't gotten worse. In fact, in some spots, there was a tiny improvement. The doctor shook his head and said, "You're one of the rare patients who's sticking to it." He still offered me the medication, but he said I could continue my natural approach if I wanted. I left that appointment feeling triumphant, and more determined than ever. Over the next 3 years, I didn't stop. I kept cooking nourishing meals, colorful plates full of greens, protein, and healthy fats. I kept lifting weights, eventually graduating to 10-pound dumbbells. I kept walking, moving, gardening, and staying engaged with my community. And most importantly, I stayed consistent. Every follow-up scan showed either stability or tiny improvements. I never became perfect. I had occasional days where I skipped a workout or indulged in a piece of cake. But I always returned to the path. Now at 78 years old, I am proud to say, I have no fractures. I have reversed my osteoporosis to the point of osteopenia, a less severe form of bone loss. I can lift my groceries, garden for hours, and hike with my grandchildren. My doctors call me a poster child for lifestyle medicine. I just call it being stubborn in the best way. Lessons I want to share with you. If you are facing osteoporosis or worried about your bone health, here's what I learned, and what I hope you take away. You have more power than you think. Osteoporosis is not a death sentence. Your bones are living tissues, they can respond to how you treat them. Consistency is the secret. Small, daily actions are more powerful than heroic efforts once a month. Food matters deeply. Bone health isn't about just calcium supplements, it's about a symphony of nutrients working together. Movement is medicine. You can't build strong bones sitting still. Resistance and weight-bearing movements are essential. Emotional health matters. Positive thinking, stress management, and gratitude heal more than just your heart, they heal your body. Build a support system. Having friends, workout buddies, or supportive family members can make a world of difference. It's never too late. No matter your age, starting today can make a difference. Osteoporosis was a wake-up call for me, a blessing in disguise. It made me stronger, healthier, and more grateful for every single day. If you're walking this journey too, know that you're not alone. And remember, your body is a miracle, capable of healing and thriving far beyond what you may believe. I'm living proof. and I'm rooting for you. Oh, if my story resonated with you or someone you know, consider liking this video and subscribing to On Health Street, because truly, we should all live here. Till we meet again, bye for now.